बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया Hafizur Rahman Sahab. I'm indeed very grateful to Costa Foundation for giving me this opportunity to be here. And it is indeed a great opportunity to listen and be here with Dr. Kuru, a very eminent scholar, a person who can think original and person who can convincingly communicate his message. And I think it's also a very special occasion when a scholar of the stature of Shri Akbar is also here on the dais. So I must say we are really proud of what he has contributed to our society in various diverse ways. I think a very versatile personality, whether it is in statecraft or whether it's about international relations or the history of uh, religions or the Indian history of the subcontinent of the world. I think one of the most authentic voice. So thank you very much, Mr. Akbar. I must compliment Krishna Foundation for its initiative for bringing out the literature. Books have been a very important instrument of communicating the ideas, and all dynamic societies have got the dissemination of ideas and of the knowledge as the one of the most important requirement of the growth of any society or a nation. It was amply amplified by Akbar Saab, so I want to reiterate that. Well, friends, the phenomenon of the relationship of state and religion is not unique to Islam. And as was brought out by Dr. Kuro, that in different stages of history of Islam also, probably it's changed, waned and waxed, and also in different societies. Probably he said that in the Abbasid, this days, probably there was a very, very clear understanding of what was the role of the clergy and what is the role of the state. And probably thereafter, there is an overlap. In the Oriental societies also, in Hinduism also, there has been this thing. But there has been one difference. And I don't think that even in times ahead, probably there will be a total separation. The problem is this that the conflicts are inherent in any ideology, thought, or belief system, or in the existence of any state. Any thought or any ideology has to be competitive. If it is not competitive, then it is no more, it is universally accepted. So there will be only one. If there is more than one faith and one this thing, similarly, unless there is one world state, there will be the states who will have the different conflicts. They will have peace, they will have wars. The problem is this: how do we do resolve these conflicts? What is the conflict mitigation or resolution mechanism or the mindset of the societies? I can tell you about the Indian example. First conflict is between the man himself. The conflict between what your competing beliefs, thoughts, needs, aspirations are. Even about your relationship to the other human beings and to the God and to the society. You yourself may have more than one view, and sometimes you might be thinking. Now, this conflict was resolved in Hinduism and the Oriental religions by a process of meditation. That is a dialogue with your own self. You engage your own self. Then it was societal. The societal conflicts were resolved through dialogue. And we had a great tradition of what we used to call the Shastrarth. Even in this part of the world, there had been various thoughts. The Buddhism came, and it came in conflict with the then existing Sanatana Dharma or Hinduism. The conflict, how was it resolved? There used to be the frequent debates going for days and months sometimes between the thinkers and the scholars. The famous dialogue between Mandan Mishra and Adi Shankaracharya, which lasted for these things about understanding the concept of God and the human. So the conflict resolution was done in a way which was different from how the state does the conflict resolution. When the state has got the conflicts, it goes to war. It uses the instruments of coercion. But the competitiveness of the thoughts or the faith or the beliefs which will keep on coming and mushrooming probably cannot be resolved by the same instruments by which the state resolved itself. Problems come when Islam thought that this is possible to resolve the 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 competitiveness or the this thing of the thoughts and the beliefs through the same instruments as the state. Now, what happens on that? That doesn't matter that whether the state will be able to spread a religion or not. That new ideas and new thoughts stop coming once caution becomes an instrument of countering the competitive thoughts. Because anyone who holds a view different than you, if you are the winner, he will exterminate you, and if the other man wins, he exterminate. You are the so one of you survive. So the new thoughts stop sprouting. If you want any change, any progress, any this thing, and we have to ponder over that why is it that some societies become stagnant? Those societies which could not generate new thoughts, the new ideas, look at the out of box and look at the things fundamentally. Probably they got stagnated at a point of time. And there was a deliberate effort of the vested interest to maintain that the status quo in the thinking process. Akbar Sahib mentioned about the printing press. It's very interesting. Probably some of you might be knowing it. The original idea of the printing press came in the Ottoman Empire. Martin Gutenberg of this thing in Germany, who invented in the 14th century, was able to bring out this thing. And at that point of time, the biggest resistance came from the clergy who did not want the thoughts or the ideas to be sprung on which they thought that they have got the monopoly. Though the fatwas which were issued were mainly on this thing that Islam will be misinterpreted and projected in a way which is not its real content or which is not its real meaning, which they thought the real meaning is what they understood it. That put, when we say that we blame colonialism, we should understand one of the important instruments of colonialism was the printing press. That is the time for the 300 years by which the Islamic countries sort of decided to go for the printing and the concept of books. That 300 years gave them the monopolistic lead over the territories and the areas where they could spread and they could have this thing. The thoughts could not be disseminated. They could not be taken to the people. So the idea is this, that is whether it is justified to blame colonialism or the others for all that is wrong with us. The need for introspection, which I said, is extremely important. Introspection by the individuals, by the societies, and by the states. Whether it is in the statecraft, whether it is in the societal relationships, or whether it is with the individual conduct and the thinking process. We should not allow our brains to be enslaved by the voices, by the prejudices, by this thing, which are derived by motives other than a very objective and a scientific examination of the reality. The world does not remain static. We have to evolve ourselves. Our thoughts have to evolve ourselves. At the same time, it does not mean that in any way it undermines your fidelity to your faith systems, which must be respected and which must be honored. There is no doubt about that. But to become stagnant and refusing to look at the new and emerging realities probably may not be the same. It is in this context when we say underdevelopment or we talk about democracies and the others. Probably just somebody was 300 years late in getting to the printing press. Some Islamic societies may be few centuries late in adopting to democracy and listening to the voice of the common man, the people. Probably that's an important that cannot be ignored. If it is not in this century, it may be the next century or maybe the next century. But when you lose the time, the transformation and the change and the progress, both the direction of change and the speed of change are important. If you do it too late, probably you always remain at the back. By the time the things have evolved to the new heights and in the new this thing, I must thank the Gustav Foundation for bringing out new thought-provoking ideas, trying to bring about how the society can evolve itself, improve itself, how every child who has got a who's going to live in this world for another 80 years or 90 years starts the life with new thinking, with broad horizons, with a broader spectrum awareness, and is able to contribute to his own good to the society and the world. Thank you very much once again, Mr. Hafizur Rahman Saab, and my special thanks to Mr. Kuru, who has really brought out an excellent book. I've just glanced through some parts of it and seen some of his reviews. Actually, the thoughts that he has brought about are really very new to me. I would like to go through them in greater detail and the historical perspective by which he has been able to analyze that how in the Islamic society, while there is no single factor which is responsible for what is wrong. There are multiple factors, but sometimes attributing it to a single factor and which may be external because you don't want to blame your own self. Probably if the diagnosis is wrong, the cure cannot be right. So you have got to look at it this thing while colonialism, uh, mercantilism, the economic exploitation might have been the causes which led to the degradation of the certain societies and certain countries and certain nation states. Probably there were reasons other than that also which have got to be understood. So we thank Dr. Kuru once again for his visit and for his contribution and for allowing the Kulsro Foundation to have its English in the translation, which I think will give it access to a very large number of Indians of all communities and of all religions. Thank you very much. All. Thank you.
जोरदार तालियां आप सबकी तरफ से। किताबों का एनालिसिस करने वाले मानते हैं कि 1,00,000 किताबें अगर लिखी जाती हैं तो उनमें कोई एक किताब ऐसी होती है जिसे लोग खरीद के पढ़ते हैं। लेकिन इस किताब को पढ़ने के बाद मैं ये दावे से कह सकता हूं